Oh, good morning, good evening, whenever you are watching this episode of The Josh Potter Show. I welcome you. Thank you so much for checking out the program. I hope the music doesn't hurt all the sensitive Roach ears out there this go around. Thank you to Craftmatics for submitting this little number. An instrumental sent over to joshpottershow@gmail.com. It's called number 35. You can send your instrumentals, any music you make for the program, over to that email, or you can always send off your Roach reporting. I'm getting excited. We're getting close to the end of the year, and I am going to do, at the end of the year, well, I guess it might be the beginning of the year. However, it works out with New Year's, you see. The New Year's program is going to be the first annual Roachies. You heard it here first. The first annual Roachies are happening then. We'll have guests. We'll have awards. It's going to be an exciting time. I've also been having an exciting time out there on the road. Just had a few instances going out with some friends. Once, when I go out on the road opening for somebody or just doing it to work with my friends, I don't necessarily promote it because chances are this, when it's with Tom, they're sold out well before I even know I'm doing them. And in terms of working with Annie Letterman, usually I find out like the day before. It's like, hey, you want to go to such and such place? And I'm like, yeah, we're good friends. Let's go. Let's hang out. And it's so much fun. Had a blast in San Antonio. We'll get into that as the Nice Boy Clock continues on here, because the Nice Boy Clock has to make a return. I'll discuss that in a moment too. But I want you to go over to Josh_Potter on my, that's my Instagram. Or you can go over to my Twitter at J_Potter. There you'll find my tickets for sale, and so far we have one huge headlining date up there for the month of November. It is in Buffalo, New York, my hometown, Helium Comedy Club, 5 shows. I would love to see you there, so please to be coming out to those Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all following Thanksgiving. You'll be sick of the family. Come hang out with your boy and have a good time. I'm going to be announcing plenty of 2022 dates, and we might even be squeezing in some dates out west here on the West Coast for the end of 2021. So I'm very excited. Keep your eyes peeled to those places in order to buy tickets to the show. Also, twitch.tv/Josh_Potter, still streaming at least once a week. It's been weird since COVID has ended, I will say. And COVID, people are like, COVID hasn't ended. Maybe this is why we're getting ad problems, Kirsten, or YouTube issues. Because I think I said this little tidbit last week. I'm like, COVID is over, and they just hear that, and they go, your ads are limited.
That might be it.
Well, we'll see this time around, huh? Because I'm going to keep the Nice Boy Clock as nice as the Nice Boy Clock, it's there. Have I been abiding by it? Not necessarily, I haven't necessarily been abiding by it, and we just recently had a strike. So, and I can't possibly fathom what it was about, and Kirsten can't figure it out either. We don't have any theories. We can't even bring up the theories here in the Nice Boy Clock. Another way you can send over to joshpottershow@gmail.com. You can send over your theories as to why on earth that would have happened last week. But yes, here in the Nice Boy Clock, I wanted to talk to you like a nice boy about someone who's been very kind to me, and she's one of my best friends, Miss Annie Letterman, and she's going to come on this program. She was supposed to come on this program months ago, but couldn't, and then the way that I operate, people often, they're like, I hate guests, and I'm like, well, good, because I don't schedule them anyways, and I come in here and I just talk to you for an hour without them regardless. And so we just haven't had our schedules line up, but she will be on this program down the road here. But we had a wonderful time in San Antonio. I just had a blast. I love going and doing her shows, especially the way since the end of the pandemic, doing my own shows have been electric. I love that. That's my favorite thing on the planet. It's all I've ever wanted to do. And it's why I was so depressed during the pandemic. Coming out of it and being able to headline my shows, dream come true. It's amazing. But I don't feel like I'm getting better at comedy. So I need to go in front of other people's audiences that don't know who I am. And that way, they'll be like, who's this weird idiot? And then, hopefully I win them over. Like back in the day when I was strengthening my talents, you see. So now I'm appreciative that Annie brings me on the road with her when she needs somebody to hang out with that she doesn't want to murder. You know what I'm saying? So I have been having a blast doing her shows. I'm going out with Tom at the time of this taping. I will be going to shows with Tom this weekend, and those I'm sure are going to be epic. You're seeing this right after they've occurred already, obviously. And thank you for saying hello to any in any of those times. It was so funny. A guy hit me up. He was like, I wish you'd come to San Antonio. It's like, dude, I was literally just there. I understand why you didn't know I was just there. Didn't really promote it, but I'll be coming back. And that's the other great part about going on the road with them is you get to go, especially if it's at a club. They go, oh, yeah, we've been trying. And then you go, oh, yeah, I'll come back next year. We line up a date. Works out great. But, man, Annie's sober, by the way, so I was in San Antonio just middling, tossing them back like a loon, having a great time. And I can drink a lot of beer. I can drink about, and still know where I'm at. I'm not like sloppy. I'm not, this isn't a brag or anything like that. But my point is I can drink a bunch of beer. Annie's sober. I can also smoke copious, like a barrel of weed I could smoke. A hay barrel is what I'm saying of weed. If that, I could, you know what I mean? I just smoke and smoke and smoke. I'm one of those people that when the bowl is over, I repack it again and keep it going until basically I run out of weed in my pocket, essentially. And that could go a long way. If I have an eighth in my pocket, oh boy. It basically is until people are like, I'm good. Multiple times. If they say I'm good, I always think, oh, they're just missing out on this rotation. They'll get it they'll want to be back in on the next go around because that would be me. But they keep going, no, dude, I'm good. I've had that in a circle 1,000 times. But so this is my speed when I'm out. And Annie likes to get high, and I think we got a little too high because we were just like sitting around. It was 4 a.m. in San Antonio, and we ordered like full Italian dinners, like an insane amount of Italian food, like words like bolognese were on the freaking order slip and things like that. And thankfully I went downstairs to go like fetch it or whatever while Annie was like super high up in the room. And like I get the guy, he texts me, he's like, it was canceled, they're not open. I'm like, why would I think a place like that would be, and why would it be listed on the thing, by the way, if it wasn't open? Nevertheless, didn't come. I ended up just getting, the hotel lobby food, the sandwiches that just, exist there. I'm like, I'll get turkey and one ham. She can decide. I don't know. And just a wild, thank God. I was like, the next day I woke up, I go, thank God that canceled. Like, what the fuck? I am in my mid-30s. So is she, by the way. We're making these decisions still in our mid-30s. That is like a wild affair. I don't know. Have you ever had any stoned orders like that, Kirsten, where you just like went out of hand?
Oh, yeah, at the Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, like, and then you just get so much food and you're just, what happens? Do you end up eating it all and then hating yourself?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I eat way too much and then just sit there and like think, why did I do this to myself? But then I'll do it again, like a few days later.
Yeah, like I will either eat one meal to the point like a snake, right? Where it's to the point of that, especially on the road. You're doing shows. You're just coming off this high of shows and you're drinking and smoking weed and you're just, let's keep it going. Let's order all the Thai food or whatever the case may be. And then you wake up feeling like garbage. In this case, thank the Lord it didn't come, because I've also had it where you think this grandiose plan, I'm going to order all of this food. I'm going to order a smorgasbord of food. And then when it comes, you're basically ready to pass out and you don't eat any of it. Have you had that happen?
I think back like when I was in college, yeah, we would order pizzas and then we would wake up and like they wouldn't cancel it though. They would just leave the pizza on our front door like in the snow.
Oh my God. I had that happen one time. I fell asleep during an order and I woke up and I was like, well, I guess I lost out on that. I never complain or try to get the money. It's my fault. So I just go, and then I walk outside and I basically kicked over a giant soda that I had ordered, like a huge one of those like big gulps, huh? You know, like that size. I just kicked it over onto my. Now I'm like hosing down my front porch so I don't have a freaking anthill grow on it. But man, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, I mean, I'd rather like call someone and then forget they're delivering it than be cooking something and forget my oven's on when I pass out and like wake up in a house fire.
That's a good call. That is such a good call. I have, and I don't know if this was in pill times in my life. It lines up in the time frame, but my one apartment back in Buffalo, I came home super out of my mind, wasted on many a thing, I'm sure. And I started to make spaghetti, and I just went to bed, but I didn't put the spaghetti in or anything. I just put a boiling pot of water on the stove, and then I passed out naked in my room, and I woke up to basically the fire alarms going off in the morning, you know. That happened twice, actually. Another time, somehow the smoke detectors went off because I went into my bathroom and turned on the shower, took off all of my clothes, and then just went to bed but left the shower on.
I can't believe you just said this right now because I actually just had to write to our housing like people that we need a new fire alarm because I took a shower and the steam got out and it got set off and I couldn't get it off.
So steam can do that?
Yeah, I had to drown it in my sink for it to stop. And then I had to explain.
Well, yeah, that's like illegal to destroy those, isn't it? Are you wanted for arrest?
Maybe.
Uh-oh. We have a fugitive in the studio. But yeah, that's like you can't then now. Well, thankfully I hope they gave you a new one because they get really upset when you destroy those things, from what I understand. I do not know. But the nice boy clock is fucking over. Thank God I can swear now. Holy fucking shit. I mean, I tried to be a nice boy that time. I hope it worked out. I did get a little. There was a couple of times where it got stuck there. I am talking about using drugs, so I don't know. We'll find out if we have limited. I mean, hey, doesn't come out of my pocket. It's how I pay Kirsten. No, I'm just kidding. So we'll find out what that's all about, and we won't have to deal with it. I wanted to get into some emails, and by the way, you can also, I said reports, instrumentals, remixes, all those things are obviously welcome over at joshpottershow@gmail.com, but also your feedback is greatly appreciated. This one says, "Hello, Mr. Potter. I would like to start off with the fact that I'm a huge fan of you, your comedy, and podcast. I just finished listening to episode 56 and wanted to talk about the Russell Wilson part of the program. I understand the comedy aspect of making fun of Russell Wilson. He's kind of a goody two-shoes, straight-laced Puritan, and maybe it's because I'm a Seahawks fan and I'm watching our season go down the shitter with Geno Smith taking the snaps, but the things you're saying about him are hurtful as a fan of Russell. When you say him rehearsing his routine is a psycho thing to do, I find that a little funny considering every show you do, you yourself rehearse your routine every time until you get new material and you rehearse that." I'm going to pause the email there. First and foremost, though, Kirsten, can we show people what we're referencing in case they perhaps didn't watch episode 56? It's Russell Wilson, you see. This is him. Obviously, I understand rehearsing, going through the rehearsal of the game plan. Every football player does that. They do a walkthrough of the scripted plays, of what the game plan is. The part where Russell is a psychopath is the part where he's doing fake huddle conversations. That's insane. And he's like whispering them. So it's not even like, I can understand being like, I have to get my voice ready because the crowd noise. I'm practicing. He's going like, me. Like, I can understand even maybe that level of talking to yourself regarding the huddle. But having like fake huddle conversations, insane to me. And I remember it, even when they were showing that footage, Collinsworth and Al Michaels are like, you ever seen that? And they're like, of course not, because only psychos would do that. You're in the huddle, you got to talk to human beings, you got to look them in the eye. You're a leader of men. You have to lead them and convey information to them, not like a robot, like a leader. And to compare it to comedy is hilarious because I don't sit there in a mirror saying my jokes to myself over and over again. This is just one of those I would never call someone stupid or whatever for not understanding how comedy works, but this is just someone who doesn't I do not practice my routine by just muttering it to myself in silence. You have to practice comedy by being in front of an audience and doing it. That's not the same thing. He's not in front of, it's not like he's got guys there to pretend he's in a huddle. You know what I'm saying? It's not like there's people from the offensive line with him going like, you know, through the rehearsal with him like they're a fucking improv troupe. So that comparison, not a wise one. I know you're scratching and clawing, you're grasping at straws being a Seahawks fan and trying to defend your precious Russell Wilson. Unfortunately, friend, you will not get past me. I know what he is, and that is suspect. Every person in your profession does this. No, they don't. And that's why you're great at what you do. No, it isn't. Same with Russell. I mean, again, if this is his tactic, so be it. He's a prolific quarterback. He's wonderful. He's one of the best at his game, maybe even of all time. But let's acknowledge that because he's a psycho, that's why he is good at it. I can go that far. I can meet you in the middle that far. This guy is always the top QB every year. We know this. I think this routine is a big reason for it. Could be. I'm not discouraging that part of everything. I'm just saying he's a psychopath. When other QBs may not show up for games when on the IR, he's standing on the sideline with his team cheering on the good things that they do. Okay, he's Mr. Unlimited. Then on top of that, he goes to children's hospitals. I don't want to hear about that. Every football player goes to children's hospitals. It's part of the MO. If you're a football star and you are a face of a franchise, you're going to children's hospitals. And if you're not, we need to start talking about those guys. Which ones are like, because they basically, it's almost like it's in your contract how much you have to go to these children's hospitals. And I'm not saying that none of them do it out of the goodness of their heart. I'm just saying these things are set up. They help them with foundations, things like that. It's good because they're making lots of money and that's how it should be. They should help the community, yada, yada, yada. And a lot of them are good people who enjoy doing these things. But let's not just, I don't know. It's nice, but come on. That's all I'm saying. I hate hearing all the negative things you say about him without anyone saying something positive. Well, here, you get to say something positive. I don't have hatred in my heart for Russell Wilson. I just think we got to keep an eye on him. And he may not be all that he seems. Your hatred for him still doesn't change my mind about you, though. Well, that's very nice. He's still a fan and always will be. You are. I'm not gonna read him sucking my dick with the rest of this, because I feel gross doing that even. So, with that being said, I think it's insane. I don't think I was very off with my assessment. I think we agree about some things, but you're just not looking at the fact that perhaps Russell Wilson, kind of a Looney Tune at the end of the day. But let's get into news. I know you know what's happening again, Kirsten? We're getting people like, what are the sports? Sports. Well, so we'll get into the news instead. How about that, folks? Let me turn up the volume. Oh, and the people that are like, why isn't Josh more prepared by this point? This is me. I'm dumb and I'm not good at anything. And if you think I'm apologizing for saying 6,500,000, you're off your mind. I didn't even know. This is what's wild about it. I said what about the emails, the John Gruden emails? I said there's not just 6,500 emails. There's 6,500,000 emails. And I gotta tell you, when people were lighting me up about that, I had to go like, what's the problem, for at least an hour or so. Not an hour. I mean, just like it took. I go, I don't understand that comment. Then I saw it again. I go, huh. Then I saw it a little bit later. I go, did I say that number wrong? And then I started thinking about like 6,500,000. What did I say wrong there? And I go, oh yeah, Josh, do you mean 650,000? You fucking idiot. And then I had a Boogie Nights moment. Philip Seymour Hoffman in the car. You're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot. You know what else makes me feel like a fucking idiot? How many times I lose my goddamn debit card. Thank God for technology. Now when you lose one, you call it, you cancel it, they give you a new one. Obviously, you have to wait a couple of days in the mail for it to come, but they put it right on your phone, so you can just go up to things and be like, skadook, skadook, skadook. But where it comes not so in handy is when you have to input the numbers for something. Maybe it's a reoccurring purchase of a website, such as OnlyFans. And the last time I lost my debit card, it was actually kind of a blessing because I realized through pandemic, as a result of pandemic, OnlyFans basically became my most expensive utility. I mean, it was, I all of a sudden things started, lapsing after I lost my debit card. And I go, subscriptions. And I look at it, I go, oh my Lord. I subscribed to that person and that, like, how many did I was paying a pretty penny monthly to OnlyFans. And, I had to go. I'm glad this happened, though, because it basically made me do an OnlyFans audit. So basically, I was like, which ones do I need in my life and which ones do I not? It was almost like people trying to siphon through. They're like, you know what? I'm paying for too many streaming services. Do we need Disney Plus? So, yes, I've had to trim things down a bit as far as that goes. I didn't have to. I mean, I could have stuck with it all. I've been paying for it this whole time, even in the poorest moments of the pandemic, evidently. And, but I wasn't utilizing all of them. And one of the women that I noticed I was subscribed to came up in the news recently. I was subscribed to this woman, Jeannie Exum is her name. And I actually got an email about this from a Roach reporter out there, Jason Brown. He says, salutations, Papa Roach. In some non-semen terrorist news. Oh, that's another thing, by the way. People are, I hate the semen terrorist. Hey, I know you don't want to hear about it sometimes, but guess what, folks? We need to keep awareness up. All right? If I stop talking about it, they win. The semen terrorists win. Do you want that? But yes, no. Same guy will go watch a podcast and they'll say the same fucking clips over and over again too. So it's like, what are we talking about here, bro? What are you so sad about? Do you just not like hearing about cum? Because if you don't like hearing about cum, this is not the podcast for you. Never was, and it never will be. Cum is what this podcast was built upon, if I dare say. So let's get into this email. This person not mad about the semen terrorism news. He is simply saying that, let's raise awareness about something else in this case, and it is in regards to 22-year-old Instagram model / influencer. I like how it's put in there. I just knew her as an Instagram lady. Her name is Jeannie Exum, and apparently she stabbed her boyfriend, Baby Doll Pahulas. That's the boyfriend's name, Kirsten? Do we have the boyfriend?
He's right there.
I know who Jeannie Exum is. She just started getting wild on Instagram too, or on OnlyFans too, by the way. She just okay, so that's the guy. I mean, see, when I see guys like that and I'm like, I don't understand. I'm not saying this as a brag. I'm saying that I have slept with women who previously slept with guys that look like that, and then they sleep with me, and I'm just like, there's no way that I can possibly perform knowing, and I'm not jealous. It's not like one of those things. It's not like some Italian guy who gets mad that a black guy slept with his, his gumar or whatever the hell, it's not like I'm like, it's like, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Whatever. I don't care. But the fact that they then can go to me, I wonder, I don't think that it's real. Something's not connecting. I go like, well, they can't possibly be enjoying this. So she, though, an Instagram model / influencer, that's what the press keeps referring to her as. I've seen her do some, in the recent months, wild shit on her Instagram. And by wild shit, I mean just like porno shit. You know what I mean? Like the typical stuff. She upped the notches. It was no longer just like nudes, and suggested nudes and things like that. She was like starting to, you know what I'm saying? A lot of that kind of shit. So she definitely upped the ante. So let's find out. Is she going to be disappearing from OnlyFans? Is this one that I have to keep canceled off of my newfound audit of my OnlyFans expenditures? We'll find out. Baby Doll Pujulas is the man's name. What an interesting name. Is that a common name, Kirsten, in the Latino community? Baby Doll.
I don't think so, but I guess I don't know.
Let's find out. People out there in the Latino community, let us know. Baby Doll, is that, it's spelled Babbydol. I assume that is Baby Doll. Anyway, a kitchen knife went through the man's forearm and in his back after a domestic altercation. While walking to her arraignment in an oversized Sublime sweatshirt to Manhattan Criminal Court, Miss Exum was asked why she stabbed Mr. Pujulas, only to respond by telling the New York Post journalist, please to be subscribed to my OnlyFans. She said in the thing, subscribe to my OnlyFans. Well, Jeannie, I was already there, toots. So she also just kept, she took the courtesy to spell out her OnlyFans handle to the journalist as well. So here is the article. I don't think we need to. I guess this explains the domestic case more. A 22-year-old social media model who recently flashed her breasts in front of an NYPD cop car for a viral sort of thing. She doesn't, there's the NYPD cop car thing there. This might get us a thing too, blur those out. Blur out I'm happy to have seen them. Thank you for pulling them up, Kirsten, but we might have to blur them out a little bit more for the folk in the YouTube police department. So yeah, she did that in front of the cop car. She got known for that, went a little viral. She knifed her boyfriend in the back and arm around 6:45 p.m. Monday inside her 10th Avenue apartment in Manhattan. Subscribe to my OnlyFans, she told the Post reporter with a smirk, even spelling out the name of the account. As she got back to her high-rise late Tuesday, the blonde was released without bail at her arraignment in Manhattan Criminal Court, though prosecutors had asked her to be held on $10,000 bail or a $50,000 bond for the second-degree assault charge. Manhattan Assistant District Attorney Grace London argued in court this is a violent case where the victim was stabbed twice, once in the forearm, once in the back. The man was bleeding when he went down to the lobby where the doorman called the cops. He was taken to Bellevue Hospital where he received stitches. I wonder how deep it was. You get stitches, but he could just walk downstairs to the lobby and just be like, he's not like stumbling around. He didn't get stabbed like Noah Wyle in that episode of ER where the elf from Santa Claus stabbed him. That was a real deep cut in references. But when I think of stabbings in terms of television history, I go right to that one. Because Noah Wyle could not get up. It's an episode of ER. Go check it out. The chick from, what was the show with the guy who was like Corky? Remember the Corky was in it? You know what I'm talking about? It was like real progressive, Kirsten, Corky.
Is it a hospital type show?
No, it was a show that the theme song was like, oh blah dee, oh blah da. Was it called Life Goes On? I'm not sure, but let's just say Corky was a actor with Down syndrome. And so it was, I don't remember the man who played Corky, but it was a lot about that. But in it was a woman, believe her name in the ER was Lucy Knight. I can't remember her goddamn, she's a famous actress. Real wormhole I went down, and yes, I said wormhole again because I'm out the other side of the space-time continuum and have gotten off the beaten path. If anyone out there got any of that reference, kudos to you and pleased to be being my best friend. But this woman, Jeannie Exum, describes herself as a free spirit from Alabama with a loud mouth and a dirty mind. That's on her OnlyFans account. Go check it out, as she did say. And like I said, she started getting pretty wild on it. After the hearing ended Tuesday night, Exum ran over to two girlfriends sitting in the back of the gallery and gave them a hug. She then added a Yankee cap to her outfit and held up a large piece of paper as she walked out of the courtroom, ignoring questions from reporters before getting into a idling car and heading home. So yeah, she didn't. I guess she got out of it. Doesn't say the do bom 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 bom. It doesn't say why she got it released here, but she got to get out of there. The hearing ended. Well, maybe she's got sentencing or something, but we'll find out. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled. She hasn't posted very much to her OnlyFans since this little instance. You would think she would be getting a lot of promotion. She did do a couple of things, though, because that name just came up. Someone was like, hey, have you heard of this Jeannie X? I go, have I heard of her? I mean, seen every which way. Today's Josh Potter Show is brought to us by the fine folks at Babbel. And Babbel is making us all sound like we're a lot smarter here in 2021. Let me tell you, 2020, I mean, I came out of it feeling like a dullard. And I'm certainly glad that now I'm opening my horizons, and I'm hoping that with the world opening up more and more, now I'll get to go use these broadened horizons that Babbel has so wonderfully taught me. Brand new language lessons, friends. 15-minute lessons made the perfect way to learn a new language. I'm learning French because I tried to do Spanish growing up, but it's come to find out those language lessons back in high school, they're just like kind of dog shit compared to what Babbel's got going on. I mean, these lessons were created by over 100 language experts, and their teaching method has been scientifically proven to be effective. I mean, with Babbel, they've got 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and German, and so many more. And their speech recognition technology actually helps you improve your pronunciation and accent. So you don't have some Looney Tune teacher like you did back in the day yelling at you if you didn't say your accent wrong. Babbel just constructively does it, and actually it's very much more efficient in terms of getting your pronunciation correct. There's so many ways to learn with Babbel. In addition to lessons, you can actually also access podcasts, games, videos, stories, and even live classes. So you can put these things to use. Plus, it comes with a 20-day money-back guarantee. So if you don't like it, they're hooking you up with your money back, but I guarantee you are going to like it, my friend. So start your new language journey now, today, with Babbel. And right now, when you purchase a 3-month Babbel subscription, you're going to get an additional 3 months for free. That's 6 months for the price of 3 just by going to Babbel.com and using promo code Josh. That's Babbel.com, code Josh. Babbel, language for life. Have you ever just been too damn high? I'm not going to lie. I can't say that I have, but plenty of people that I try to smoke with, because not everybody's like me. Some of the people that I smoke with, they just want to get mildly high, and I understand that because some people, it just doesn't agree with them quite like it agrees with me. My father is one of them. He's dipping his toe into smoking a little bit these days, and I hooked him right up with Dadgrass because he is my dad. And it just works out. I've heard people from back in the day, like older stoners, talk about Dadgrass when I've hooked them up, with the joint that we're passing around. They're like, oh, man, this reminds me of like mids back in the day. And every now and then you kind of want a mid, if you're a certain type of person, you want to have a little something, but you don't want to go to outer space. You know what I mean? You got to do some things throughout the day, maybe run some errands. You got to have your wits about you, and you got to get off the couch. But you want to have that release of that fist around your brain. You know what I'm saying? It's a little trip down memory lane. Dadgrass takes you back to a time when music was on vinyl, hangouts meant actually hanging out, and the weed didn't send you to the moon. It's time to relive that kind of pleasure, my friend, with Dadgrass. It's legal, organic smokable hemp. It relaxes your body and mellows your mind. They're 100% organic pre-rolled joints, very low in THC and high in CBD, so you can enjoy the effects of CBD while keeping a clear head. You can chill out without getting too stoned. All Dadgrass products, they're federally legal for ages 21 and over, and it ships right to your door anywhere in the United States. So right now, Dadgrass offering my listeners 20% off their first order. So you just got to go to dadgrass.com/Josh. That's dadgrass.com/Josh for 20% off your first order. dadgrass.com/Josh. We have other emails here, I do believe, coming to us. Oh, we do have a follow-up on the woman who perhaps got us in trouble. We discussed the Los Gatos mom at the beginning of the program. last go around, so perchance that might have got us in trouble discussing, the underage sex and whatnot that occurred. But this also from Jason Brown. Details are emerging about how parents helped expose the Silicon Valley area mother accused of hosting alcohol-fueled sex parties for teenagers in her multi-million-dollar California home. Well, those are some details that we did not know last go around. Did not know that she was a multi-million-dollar home. Although I guess that's implied when you're talking about such a nice neighborhood like Los Gatos. Hell, I'm a poor person who moved to this part of the world. And you hear about like places like Compton before you move here. You're like, oh, Compton, the scary part. Because you see the movies and such. Turns out like to buy a house in Compton, it's like $1 million. So I'm like, what are we doing here? Are these like rich people out there? These like people living in the scariest part? But gentrification, I don't fucking know. Anyhow, so she's rich, and this is how the parents of the other children came to find out and expose her. This woman faces 39 criminal charges, as we know. We discussed them all, including sexual abuse, sexual battery, child endangerment, giving alcohol to minors stemming from parties she allegedly hosted at her home. Parents of the teenagers are now coming forward with how they tipped off behavior pointing to her use of social media to allegedly contact the kids. Parents of one of the unidentified teenage boys said their son had long known O'Connor's son and didn't think much of the Halloween party last October 30th beyond fear over the coronavirus. But she assured us it was all going to be outside. They'd be playing ping pong, basketball, etc., the boy's father told the news. The boy attended the party, and the parents said they picked him up later that night from the home. They found him barefoot, wet and cold, standing at the end of the $4.7 million French colonial-style home's driveway. The family returned to their home, and the son reportedly smelled of booze, vomited, and fell asleep. Well, that sounds like a fun night for your son. He was all soaking wet with no shoes, drunk like a skunk. I bet he had a blast. While their son slept, the parents said they saw his phone lighting up with messages. They found Snapchat messages between various teens and O'Connor, who was using the name None on the platform. The boy's father said he explained it appeared that O'Connor arranged for the teenagers to have the party at her house with alcohol while she went out with her husband. How did it all go? She messaged. Thank you, Shannon, one of the boys replied. The parents said the messages also made references to sex, a girl throwing up, and how their son drank a lot for his second time and handled it like a champ. Well, that was till he got home and vomited all around his parents. Not quite like a champ. And by the way, these Snapchats, isn't the point of Snapchat to have the message disappear after it is read? Who's the narc keeping these Snapchats save in chat? Who's doing that? Huh? Is it this woman? Is she the dummy? Or is it one of these narc kids? Let's keep it moving. The woman peppered the teenagers with questions like, do your parents know? Did anyone know I wasn't there? Before she deleted threads of the correspondence. So that sounds like this woman is keeping the thread chat alive so that it can be read beyond it. Silly, silly move, lady. If you're going to use Snapchat in order to remain incognito, you gotta stop with all this keeping it in the thread. The boy's parents confronted O'Connor and her husband, who has not been charged in the case, over the partying and the messages. The boy's father said he had screenshots implicating O'Connor, and their son would no longer be permitted to see that son of hers. Then more parents began talking to each other about this behavior. One girl began dating the son of O'Connor, and her mother began witnessing strange behavior like drinking, falling asleep at a table, and lying. That's an odd little triumvirate of behavior that they would use. I would think like, okay, drinking, that makes sense. Falling asleep at the table, maybe she's just a busy girl. Got a lot of activities. That same mother then found that O'Connor had been messaging with her daughter. Shannon was telling her what to do and when and how to lie to me and her dad. It was completely insane. That was a phone call. The daughter, prosecutors say the girl was subject to acts sex acts from boys at the parties. We talked about this girl last time. This girl suffered the worst of this woman's nonsense. So if I'm the dad of this girl, I'm murdering this lady. I'm surprised that's not part of the story. And they do talk to the dad at some point, but he just said, I think this is an abomination, blah, blah, blah. I would have been like, I'm going to need some protective custody because I'm going to murder this person. O'Connor had moved to Idaho before being arrested. So this woman's so rich, she knew that the hammer of the law was coming down, that she just was like, maybe if I go to Boise, they can't find me anywhere. That'll work. But we'll keep the news moving, friends. As we had another email, yes, I do believe. When I put my papers down sometimes, I put them in a confusing area. I have to get better at where I put the papers. I'm happy we have the papers back, though, as opposed to the screen where I was scrolling all around like a Looney Tune. Couldn't find anything. This story comes to us by way of Bradley Dupree. Now, we've been talking quite a bit about, I mean, not on this program. I've avoided it. Have you been following I know you don't watch the news, Kirsten, but this Gabby Petito business, you have to have come across it at some point.
Oh, yes. I love anything true crime, so I've been following it.
So you've been following this whole deal. Everyone in the world has. Why is it for me? I like true crime stuff, but when it's a high-profile case, I'm like, I don't know. It's like pop music to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel like this one's just kind of gotten to the point where it's hard to even ignore because it's everywhere.
So give me the synopsis of, we know she went missing. I know it was a big deal. Now they found the boy, the Brian Laundrie.
Yeah, I heard that they found found body parts. But it's really weird because like his family called the cops to tell them they were going to go look in this area. And then they just found like skeletal remains and stuff. And then I don't know the exact details, but I heard they also found a notebook or something, but nothing's been released with that information.
When I hear things like that, I go, these people are just people, right? Like, they're not famous, right?
No.
They're just couple of white people. It's like, why are we so enamored with them? They aren't royalty. They're not like super skilled or a part of our lives. They're just two random people, and these people put us on these wild goose chases, and I'm like, why are we even looking for this guy? Like, who cares? Let him disappear. Oh, we found his skeletons in the woods. Who gives a shit? Right? I don't know. Is he like a good person, or wasn't he the murderer?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's the murderer.
Yeah, so why are we just like, oh, I know it's collective blue balls in the internet. Everyone was making TikToks. There were people who started YouTube channels based off of this, and then they were like, oh, we found his bones, and everyone's like, fuck, I wanted him to go to jail and shit. You know what I mean? Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Did I nail it? Yeah. Well, we have another situation here, which involves some
murder.
So get out those Hitachis, ladies, because the Vermont camper murder has been brought to us from Bradley Dupree, you see. First-time Roach reporter here, says Bradley Dupree. Loved the show and thought I could contribute with this wild story. I live in Vermont in a small town outside of Bolton called Jonesville. I was astonished to find out that this happened right down the road from where I live, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. This crazy chomo shot his wife in the head 2 times before chopping her up in his camper and fleeing north with her body. Absolutely nuts. What a wild murder. Well, let's get into the article. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Brad, because I know that it's been a while since I have gotten the ladies off.
Murder.
And whether that be in real life or via discussing murder, it's both true. So, the husband of the missing woman reportedly last seen Saturday in Bolton faces a charge of first-degree murder after in her slaying, Vermont State Police said last Tuesday night. His name is Joseph Ferlazzo. He's 41 of Northfield, New Hampshire. He's expected to be arraigned Wednesday. The court ordered Joseph Ferlazzo jailed overnight without bail. State police first announced an investigation into Emily, his wife's disappearance, at 2:35 a.m. Tuesday, as issued a series of updates culminating in Tuesday's evening's press conference. So this woman went missing. They had, the press conference like they did in The Fugitive, where they're like, we've got the dogs out there, we've got search teams, we're trudging the river, however much they wanted to pull out the stops. However, shortly after putting out that request, a state police detective located Joseph Filazzo by chance in a convenience store. So this police officer sees Filazzo, They wanted to find him as well as a part of searching for the body. They wanted to find him as a person of interest. And this guy, if you see that face, holy hell, you're not going to forget it. So, a detective's in a convenience store, and this guy's buying, a hot dog or whatever the hell he's buying. What do you think he'd be buying, a guy like this, Joseph Filazzo? Something that he'll probably regret, most likely. Because, man, if I just didn't go in the fucking convenience store. So he confronts him, and he asks Joseph Filazzo if he would be willing to go to the state police barracks in St. Albans for questioning in the disappearance of his wife. He sat down and met with some detectives and provided them a great deal of information. The information he provided was that he killed his wife. Said he'd done it. Said he'd done so in the town of Bolton during early Saturday morning hours. Well, that clears it up. So this cop just is like, hey, we want to ask you a couple of questions. He's over there. He's just like, oh, really? What about? And they're like, the disappearance of your wife. And he's like, oh, was she missing? But no, he didn't even try to put up any ruse. He was just like, sure, I'll come down, see if I can clear anything up down there at the old barracks. They sit him down, and they're like, so your wife's been missing. Can you give us any idea of maybe the last time you saw her? And he'll be like, oh, yeah, I killed her. You want to know? She's in over here, and she's all chopped up and shit. If we want to find her. Does that help you guys? And they're like, oh, well, that cleared it up relatively quickly. Police described the vehicle as a small bus that had been converted into living and travel space the couple shared and had taken to Bolton late last week. Is this not Gabby Petito?
But I mean, kind of the same thing. Like,
right?
Yeah, van travelers.
If your boyfriend wants to travel in a van around the country with you, just say no, ladies. This is my PSA.
My husband just built a camper, and he's actually taking me to the desert this weekend, so...
Well, I'm going to need a new producer soon, apparently.
It was fun while it lasted, Josh.
Yeah, I can't keep them, it seems. I can't keep them around. First, they take away Eni and Nadav. Then they take away Ashan. And now, I'm going to lose Kirsten to a murder by her husband in the desert. So yes, these campers are problems. Do you think did your husband build the camper?
He did. It's like a little teardrop. Yep.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like they bought the campers. They're always building them. This one was a bus that they converted. What's that book where the guy, he thinks he's really good at the wilderness and he takes a bus out there. He lives in a bus and then dies because he's bad at it.
I have no idea, but it was probably written by Gary Paulson.
Remember that movie? It was too. Into the Wild. I think that was it. Can we Google Into the Wild? I just got to stop getting off drugs, or I got to have a person who knows things in terms of references. I was right. Into the Wild. See, there he is with his little bus. You see him sitting there? It was a guy who's like, I want to live off the grid. And he thought he knew how to do that, and then he just didn't. He just died, I think. Very sad. But anyhow, this guy made it real easy. What a quick... If only all of the murders were... If only Gabby Petito's husband was like, oh, you're looking for her? I know. Yeah, I killed her.
Murder.
Those cops, easiest day on the job for them. This cop's going in to get a donut. And he runs into the guy. Hey, aren't you? And he's like, hi, it's me. Why don't you come down to the barracks? We'll do a little questioning. He's like, all right. Boom. Murder solved. Oh, we got to talk about another murder. And this one more of a accident, of course. Alec Baldwin. Accidentally, of course, shooting a cinematographer. Very sad that had happened. Very accidental. Obviously, Alec Baldwin is distraught. The director or whomever handed him the prop gun is upset as well. And there's really there's what's going to come out of this. There's not going to be there's going to be obviously a fat civil suit, I'm sure, and there is also going to start to be regulation on guns, and I don't mean regular guns. the ones everyone's like, they're going to take from me. Those guns, no regulation going to be happening on those, despite what people are telling you out there. We're going to get some regulation on prop guns, which I don't understand why you need one that, like, this one was why was there a real gun on set? So it looks real? I don't understand. There's prop guns that you go bang and it makes maybe a little thing that they can then enhance. I don't really know how film works. I'm not really in show business, folks. I am a circus animal on the road at comedy clubs, and I do this, Hell, they ask me about the lights in here. I go, I don't fucking know. I'm like, I don't give a shit as long as I don't even give a shit if you people can see me. I don't think you give a shit either. I don't think you want to see me. But my point is, I don't understand how movie magic works and why on earth they would need a real gun. Do you know, Kirsten?
No, I have no idea, and I feel like I've tried to read some of the reasons like why it had live rounds and still haven't gotten answers.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense as to why there would be a live gun on set. Same with like when Bruce Lee's kid was doing The Crow and got shot too. It's like, well, did someone sneak a live gun in there to kill him? That's like a good way. If I was trying to murder an actor or something, that would be like the best way to do it.
I've got a quick question for you.
What in the hell was that? Was that in your end or mine?
My bad. I did not mean to do that.
No, that's okay. It just scared me. I thought it was a man in the room. But yeah, I don't really get it. And if I was trying to murder someone, this would be the easiest way to murder somebody. You swap the guns in the prop department and then just go, oops, and no one gets in trouble. Like if Alec Baldwin wanted to murder a person on the set of this film, I mean, he would have got away with it. Maybe he wasn't supposed to be the cinematographer or whatever, It's just wild that there would even be a live gun and no one can really seem to. And they're like, oh, we're going to do regulations now. It's like, oh, you mean just like no live guns on the set of a movie? Like, what's the fucking... How about that? How about just like no live guns on a movie?
Well, I was always like under the impression that most of like the gun stuff would have just been CGI'd into it afterwards.
Yeah, that's my point. Like there would be like a cap gun or whatever that would make like a little thing that you could CGI or whatever, so it makes it look even real. But like maybe they just needed to like make the recoil look more authentic or something like that. But at the same time, it's like they're actors. Make them figure it out. How about you act like the recoil is pretty bad, Ooh, I've got this is I should have did the nice boy clock. Maybe I save this for next week's nice boy clock. I feel like I have to get into some sports, even though there's not much going on, because folks, I am just as tortured not having football be as prominent on this program because I can't speak on it right after it happens. And I am going to assure you we will remedy that for next football season. I'm going to keep saying it over and over again, and I'm going to continue to say it. But let's get into the sports, shall we? Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Dee, 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 dee. Ow, the old G intros, by the way, and if you'd like to remix them the way that so many folk have, we've had Grass Kingdoms remix it, Odd Track Numbers, Griffin Parker, the lists go on and on. I appreciate all of your remix attempts, and I play them all, really, for the most part. Send them off to joshpottershow@gmail.com. Right here we have an email from RJ, a great Roach reporter out there. Perhaps we will do that. Let's just make sure. Oh, I wanted to do a recap, though, first. A recap story. And that is the fact we discussed this story back on 4th of July. And it was a tragic tale of the Columbus Blue Jackets goaltender passing away after he was struck by a mortar-type firework, like on the side of a hot tub. And I remember during that time I said, man, wouldn't it be great if we kind of Todd Beamered that story and made it seem like he was jumping in front of, like, you know, a group of puppies or some school children or something like that. Turns out he actually did save some people's lives by jumping in front of the fireworks. So it worked out. Whether it's a Todd Beamer sort of situation or not, we don't know. But this person's back in the news once again. Columbus Blue Jackets goaltender Elvis Merzlikins claimed that a Dallas Stars fan taunted him by mentioning his late teammate Matisse Kivlenieks before their game on Monday night. Merzlikins made 31 saves in the Blue Jackets' 4-1 home win over Dallas, losing his shutout with less than 3 minutes left in the game by Tyler Seguin, a goal. I strongly believe I was expecting a shutout because I believe in karma. There are some stupid people in this world. It was really bad what happened when I was walking out there. A fan from Dallas provoked me about Matisse, he said after the game. Of course, he died 4th of July. He was 24, native of Latvia. The Blue Jackets honored him this season with a memorial banner that hangs above their rink. The veteran goaltender said the fans' taunt didn't bother him. They go, oh, that bug. He goes, no, stupid people don't come into my head. I leave them there. I didn't get upset. I just realized how stupid people are. I don't care what he said. I'm trying to find out here in the article if it says what he said. There are goals where I want to go, what I want to reach alone. I'm not going to reach them. I need help from my teammates and from Matisse. I believe he's going to help me. So Kivlenieks, who played with Matisse last season, he's now the starting goaltender. He is using his late teammates' passing as inspiration for the season, as I'm sure many on the Columbus Blue Jackets are. So he's walking out to the ice, and someone from Dallas, I don't know what that taunt could be. That's a tough look, Dallas Stars fans. A tough look to taunt about a dead teammate. I'm trying to think of possibilities of what he could have said. He could have said something like, I wish you were dead like Matisse, something like that. Or maybe like, there's going to be so many shots, you're going to be dead like Matisse, something. I mean, like, what could the possibilities have been?
Do you think he just started singing Firework by Katy Perry?
I mean, that is something that I can see coming at some point from one of these in-arena DJs. It's one of those things. They've done things like that where you go like Savage Move playing that song. If you hear during a Columbus Blue Jackets game this season the song Firework, rough stuff. But hey, could be a way. I mean, that would be wild. But this fan, who knows what he said. I'm sure it wasn't creative. Most of the times, you don't have, the best comedy writers in the stands yelling out heckles to these players when it comes to things as brash as bringing up their dead teammates. The other story from RJ was about how the Celtics game, the viewing of it, was pulled from China, and RJ was confused about this. It's almost like RJ hadn't seen the episode we discussed China and how it is within the NBA, one in the other. I mean, basically, the NBA cares more about China than it cares about the United States of America. At this point, I'm pretty positive, because RJ writes here, don't really follow basketball. Why does an American sports league and Western media give two shits about what China thinks of them? Does NBA need money that bad? When it's that much money, everyone does. I mean, it is. There are a bazillion people in China, and yes, that is an actual number. There are a bazillion of them. Way more than there are here. You know how many eyeballs that is in terms of ratings and selling things and all of that? It's a lot. Therefore, China, the WWE, any major corporate entity in the world right now as far as entertainment is sucking China's penis. Oh, or I guess maybe it'll be like this. Oh, I don't know. But they are all about it. And we have to get used to this happening. That's why they didn't say anything when it came to the Hong Kong stuff. They were all like, ew, They were all like, stop racism. But not that kind. They didn't care about that. That's how all of these ones are. They're gonna throw their hashtags in your face. hashtag this, hashtag that, about equality and things like that. But when confronted about what China's doing over there, hashtag stop Asian hate, China's like, they can do all the Asian hate they want, evidently, without anybody giving a shit. But it says here, one day after Enes Kanter on social media said on social media that China's leader Xi Jinping was a brutal dictator because of his government's repressive policies in Tibet, the Boston Celtics game was pulled from being streamed on Chinese internet altogether. Cantor's comments were delivered in a nearly 3-minute-long video posted on all of his social media. I'm here to add my voice and speak out about what is happening in Tibet, he said, wearing a T-shirt with the image of the Dalai Lama, Tibet's exiled spiritual leader, who is considered by Beijing to be a criminal separatist. Under the Chinese government's brutal rule, Tibetan people's basic rights and freedoms are non-existent. The Chinese government considers Tibet to be a part of a historical empire despite persistent protests against its rule there. The mountainous region was seized by China in 1950, putting an end to what has been 4 decades of de facto independence in what Beijing has called a peaceful liberation, winky face, of the impoverished territory. Policies employed by Xi Jinping's Communist Party, including heavy surveillance, imprisonment for those who advocate for Tibet's independence, have sought to quash any possibility of a revolt, with the long-standing goal of assimilating Tibetan residents into Chinese society and making Mandarin Chinese, as opposed to their native tongue, the dialect spoken in Tibet, the dominant language in public life. Cantor went on to say, shame on the Chinese government. The Chinese dictatorship is erasing Tibetan identity and culture. I can't believe, by the way, after he did all this, not only they pulled the Celtics game there, but I can't believe that the NBA wasn't like, you're cut. You know what I mean? We'll see what they say, how they react. Because boy, oh boy, does the NBA just love. They're just, yes, China daddy, give me more China. I love you. One day after Enes Kanter said on social media that Xi Jinping was a brutal dictator, Boston Celtics games were pulled. We already mentioned that. This is just a repeat here. 2 pages were printed the same. That's okay. Just wanted to let everyone know. That's why I'm stumbling. Here was where it picked up. Cantor had planned to play wearing a pair of sneakers emblazoned with the words "Free Tibet." Oh, that would have pissed them off a great deal. And then he probably would have gotten fined by the NBA. There are the sneakers there. You got to wonder, was the NBA chill with that? I know that the players in the NBA would do something like wear a sneaker like that, then get fined because they don't care. And it's always this battle. But I want to get to the point where they then bring out what's been going on. Because you have to remember, back in 2019, prior to COVID, Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey tweeted his support for pro-Hong Kong democracy there, and they got rid of all the Houston Rockets games, which, by the way, the Houston Rockets, the most popular team in China because of what was his name? Mao Ying?
I thought it was like
Yao Ming. I'm sorry. See, thank you. Yao Ming. What did I say? Mao Ying?
Yeah, I think so. You're close.
Well, Mao Zedong, we know that Mao is a person from China. It's a prominent man from China. It's unclear whether we'll be back on CCTV television in China this year, Adam Silver said earlier this week, though I'm certain he very much wants to be. The NBA has estimated that the strained relationship with the Chinese and lost broadcast rights means the league missed out on about $400 million in revenue during the 2019-2020 season alone. During a news conference on Thursday, Wang Wenbin, a spokesman for China's foreign military, was asked about Cantor's remarks and called him a clout-chasing, trying to get attention with Tibet-related issues. That's very funny. What a clout-chasing dork. That's basically what he said. He's like, who cares what we're doing over in Tibet? Neither the Celtics nor the NBA have publicly commented on Cantor's comments at this time. Yeah, because the NBA is like, what do we... When you're trying to be woke, and then when the money goes away, they don't know what to do. Tough little line to draw. Tough little balance. So Adam Silver's like, For now, the fallout from Cantor's comments does not appear to be as severe as the one from 2019 with the Houston Rockets. Like I said, the Rockets were the most. Maybe in China they're like, black out the Celtics game. No one gives a fuck about the fucking Celtics anyway, so they don't lose as much revenue. Perhaps, I don't know. Other NBA games played Wednesday were offered on the old whatever they streamed their NBA games on over there in China, and the 3 games on Thursday's schedule appeared to be on the providers' listings as well. So, not as much fallout as when the Rockets were just blacklisted. But Adam Silver, slowly but surely, losing more money to China. And then, you know who else loves China? LeBron. Loves it. Loves China, but is all about, I'm woke. But China can do whatever the hell they want, as long as they keep giving me the monies. And that's what I will say, too, by the way, if that happens on this show. Hey, China, you throw a couple $1 million my way, I'll change my tune on you, too. I forget how. I did learn months ago how to say a couple of things in Mandarin because of John Cena saying them in Mandarin. When John Cena got in trouble with China, remember that, with Fast and the Furious? He said something about, I think it was, Hong Kong being a country, and they were like, oh, my God, you don't say that. And he was like, I am so sorry that I acknowledged a country as being a country when in your country you don't acknowledge it. It was basically like the equivalent of basically him just like, I'm sorry I didn't peddle that fake news. Like, say there was a fake news that came out here in America that gets you up in arms. Imagine if John Cena was like acknowledging that it was fake or acknowledging the truth, and then our government basically forcing him to apologize so that he can keep his precious millions. I didn't want to end on such a sour note necessarily, but I will end with a better one. How about that? This one is an email that I actually got entitled, "The Queef Drought is Over." And what a glorious day to have the queef drought be over, because there was quite the drought. I got some queefs here and there, you see, and they were great. But they were too scattered, and I'm trying to compile them as they come along. But in this new instance, it's just been tougher to play the queefs, you see. I used to have Any listen to all the queefs because it was fun. That was the most fun process of it. Now I'm listening to them, and I'm like, I don't want to. It was more funny when Any would come and be like, that was terrible. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to make poor Kirsten listen to queefs the whole time, but here it is. Let me pull it up here. There it is. It's from, I don't know if she wants me to say her name. I'm going to not say her name. But it says, the queef dry spell is over. Oh, okay, no, it's Elizabeth again. It says, hey, it's Elizabeth again. But they put, she sent movies. Ooh, there was one right there. I don't see anything in the movie, but here, that was the first one. She sent 2. Thank you, Elizabeth. Here's the first one. Oh, interesting. It's like, I don't know why. I don't know anything about Pokemon, but that queef reminded me of a Snorlax. And then this one, that one was a little more distant. Perhaps she realized on the first one that she was able to like grunt out, that she didn't have the audio right where she needed it in terms of microphones, so she went closer, because here was the first one. One more time. That one seems like it's like from across the room. So then she probably was like, hold on, I got another one in the system. Let's do this. Boom. That one was right up in there. So thank you, Elizabeth, for your queefs. Now I have recorded 2 lovely queefs for you from my very own Arby's Classic Roast Beef Sandwich. She's talking about her pussy in that case. I hope I have encouraged other lady roaches to queef in my footsteps. Sincerely, Elizabeth. Well, thank you so even much. I am still surprised and shocked and in awe, basically, of how many of you out there come up to me at the shows saying you sent in queefs from back in the day. I keep coming across you. We had so many. The funny part was we used to have so many that we'd play like a dozen, but there were like hundreds that we couldn't play or didn't play because of poor audio quality, things of that nature. But I appreciate it as always. And if you'd like to submit something of that nature, joshpottershow@gmail.com. And you can also submit your reports. You could submit your remixes, and you could submit your instrumentals the way that Craftmatics has. This is number 35. It's been a wonderful program here in the Roach Motel once again. I'm just going to start calling the studio that too, you know? People keep saying it to me anyways out on the road, and I don't even care. Let the freaking company come after me. I'll treat them like China. What else do I have to plug? Buffalo, New York, Thanksgiving weekend, Helium Comedy Club. Pleased to be buying tickets. At J_Potter is the Twitter. At Josh_Potter is the Instagram, and you can buy tickets up on those, or you can just Google it, however you'd like to go about it. Pleased to be buying those tickets. Twitch.tv/Josh_Potter to follow along for those streams, and keep rating, reviewing, and subscribing. It means a great deal. Hit that bell. A lot of people telling me they subscribe, but it's not showing up in their thing. I think you got to hit the bell. And perhaps you want to unsubscribe and resubscribe. That always helps too when it comes to the audio portion of things. I love you very much, and I hope I do see you again next Tuesday here on The Josh Potter Show.